So, for people who have joined us fairly recently in our audience, they might not actually be aware of what the PTR is. We talk about the PTR all the time. So, PTR it stands for Public Test Realm, and this is basically it's a feature that we have on Steam where you can opt into an alternate build of the game that's got a lot of sort of new and untested material in it. Right now, the PTR actually includes an early version of the Infestation update, for instance, which is, which gives players the opportunity to try that out, give us feedback. We are looking at telemetry, like data that is sort of harvested from people playing the game, so we can see what kind of experience they're having, both from their anecdotal experience telling us, giving us feedback in our Discord and through other means, but also just watching the data, watching what experiences they're having, on a statistical level. We're able to learn more about the features and make them better before they go out to everybody else. So it's been a while though since we've released anything to the PTR, right? It's been months and months since there's been a new PTR build.
Yeah, I mean, the last one was kind of for Forever Communities. And that was, kind of just trying to get a sense for stability and stuff like that. It wasn't kind of our full push that we've done previously to get feedback, where the Infestations, we actually did a full survey for it the last time we did it. So yeah, it's been a few months since we put anything in there, and it's been even longer since we did a good feedback cycle.
So, but that's going to change sometime soon. So you've got some plans for the PTR. Do you want to sort of introduce what's going on?
Yeah, totally. So now that we've, been focusing back on infestations, like I mentioned, we went into the public test realm previously, and we had a survey that went out to players in the public test realm, just trying to get a sense for how the feature is landing and what issues there might be. So we got we kind of got a good sense for what kind of the trends were, what kind of the general issues that were coming up a lot with players. So we kind of had a targeted list of things that we wanted to tackle to address for the next round of PTR. So we've been kind of mostly focusing on that, basically addressing the things that came up in the last set of testing, and have been kind of just iterating on those features and trying to get them into a shape, at least internally, where it's these things, all the things that we want to do to address these things are up and running, and then we can get them back into players' hands and see, did those solutions do everything we intended them to do? What tweaks do we need to do? And whatnot. So we've got a good set of changes that we are getting ready now, kind of in the last stages. The public test realm is going to be obviously rougher than we intend for the shipping build, but yeah, we're basically getting to those last stages before we're ready to actually go to the public test realm again.
So when are you hoping you'll be able to release a new build to the public test room? When should players be watching their calendars, watching their clocks?
So our major hope is to try to get a new build into the PTR by the end of the year. We're really hoping that the players will be able to play with the new features over the holiday break. It's still something that's slightly up in the air, just because a lot of new things are coming in hot. And so, we have to make sure it's stable and make sure things are doing what we intended them to do, and that there's no major hiccups that we haven't foreseen.
When you say that something is coming in hot, what does that actually mean? So the players kind of understand it. Does that mean that a feature is coming in very close to the deadline?
Yeah, essentially, we haven't really had a ton of time after it goes in to do a ton of play testing to make sure it feels exactly like we want. So I'm sure there's gonna be some rough edges and stuff like that, but just kind of making sure all the features are in that are trying to address the things that we wanted to address. So they'll be up, they'll be functional. It'll just be I'm sure there's going to be some UX issues, we didn't message this clearly, stuff like that. That's kind of to be expected. But overall it's coming in pretty close to the deadline. And so we're just trying to make sure that it is in a good shape before we a relatively good shape before we put it into the players' hands.
Yeah. So because
And
because there is a certain amount of brokenness and bugginess or being something being ill-tuned that's okay for the public test realm, right? Because like players who sign on to be in the public test realm, they know they're playing an unfinished build. They know that there's a certain amount of jank they should expect, and that there should be, there are probably going to be problems. The whole reason we're in there is because there's probably problems, and we want to suss them out. But there's still a certain amount of, like, for instance, if it's crashing, we don't want to put it out in the public test realm. Like, if there's big obvious crashes that are happening all the time, things like that, there's a certain minimum amount of workingness that the build has to have before we're even willing to put it in the public test realm. And that's sort of what we're looking for right now, is just, we know that these features are coming in very close to the deadline, and if one of them, for instance, breaks the entire game and we find out about it at the last minute, we're not going to put that build out to the public test realm, and it might take till after the holiday season. So basically, we're kind of rolling the dice a little bit. We hope we can get this out in the holiday season. We hope that people can play this over the break. Oh my gosh. There's several of them. No. I like this character. Stop it. Oh my gosh. What? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. I've got a Haven device, and it just killed them for me. Woo! I almost lost one of my favorite characters. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were we're hoping to make it on the holiday season, but it's coming in hot. So forgive us if it comes out later than the holiday season, if it comes out early in 2023 instead of the end of 2022, it's because we're rescuing you from having a bad experience with some kind of terrible, terrible bug.
Yeah, exactly. Just with anything like this, you need a certain amount of time to make sure that, and I'm sure, and even when, if just making sure things are stable, I'm sure there are probably just slight gameplay issues that were like, oh, we wish that we could have addressed this before going into the PTR, but it's the kind of thing, it's like, but it'll still be good to get it in players' hands and we get a general sense for how things are landing and stuff like that. So yeah,
cool. Well, I mean, looking forward to sort of seeing what goes in there and seeing how players react to it during this next holiday season, if things go well.
Yep.